Imagine a justice system where victims are heard, where people who cause harm take responsibility without being destroyed, and where communities play an active role in healing instead of watching from the sidelines. Now imagine this isn't a futuristic idea. It isn't abstract. It isn't unrealistic. It already exists. Just not here, not yet, and not fully. My name is Braiden McElhaney, and today I want to walk you through a simple but transformative idea: restorative justice. What it is, how it works, and why America desperately needs it. The problem with justice as we know it. Let's start with the uncomfortable truth. The United States has one of the highest incarceration rates in the world. We spend billions of dollars locking people up, yet we also have some of the highest recidivism rates across the globe. So let me ask you, if our goal is safer communities, why isn't the system working? It's because our system isn't designed to heal harm. It's designed to punishment. Victims rarely get answers, offenders rarely grow, and communities rarely recover. Because punishment is not the same as accountability. So, what is the restorative justice mindset? We must first understand the restorative justice mindset before we understand what restorative justice is. Restorative justice flips the script. Instead of asking what law was broken and what punishment is deserved, instead we ask who was harmed, what do they need, and who is responsible for addressing those needs. Now, this approach has roots to indigenous traditions across the world, from the Navajo Nation to Maori communities in New Zealand, where justice is not about exclusion, but restoration. Restorative justice brings together three groups: the victim, the person who caused the harm, and the community impacted by the harm. They talk, they listen, and together they build a plan to repair. It sounds simple, but its impact is absolutely profound. Now, real accountability is harder than punishment. We often say that restorative justice is soft on crime. But let me be clear: there's nothing soft about sitting face to face with the person you harmed. There's nothing soft about listening to the pain that you caused. There's nothing soft about acknowledging your actions without excuses. There's nothing soft about repairing harm you can't take back. Prison is passive. Restorative justice is active. Prison ends relationships. Restorative justice mends them. And when you ask people who have gone through restorative processes, they'll tell you it was the hardest thing I've ever done. That is accountability. Now, what does the world already know? Other countries have fully embraced restorative justice, and the results are undeniable. New Zealand, they integrated restorative justice into their entire youth justice system, not as an alternative, but as the default. Youth crime is down, victim satisfaction is high, and recidivism is lower than ever. In Norway, their correctional system focuses on dignity and reintegration, backed by restorative dialogue. Norway has one of the lowest reoffending rates in the world. In Canada, they have an indigenous-led sentencing circle that is embraced by the government and courts alike, where healing is prioritized over punishment. These countries didn't perform some magic trick. They simply chose humanity over hostility. And it's clear, America's missed the opportunities. In the United States, restorative justice exists, but only in fragmented pockets. A few juvenile courts in Colorado, a handful of nonprofit mediation centers, and an occasional pilot program. We have no standards, no consistent training, no guaranteed access to victims, and no real funding. Justice in our current system depends on zip code, not on your needs. We can do better, and we must do better. So why does restorative justice just work? The research is overwhelmingly clear. Restorative justice reduces recidivism, victims report higher satisfaction, communities rebuild trust, taxpayers save millions, accountability increases, trauma decreases, and healing becomes possible. Why? Because restorative justice addresses the root causes of harm, trauma, instability, disconnection, not just the symptoms. When we treat people like they're disposable, they act like they have nothing to lose. When we treat people like they belong, they act like they do. Now, the cost argument of restorative justice we can't ignore. So let's talk numbers. Housing one person in prison can cost $35,000 to $60,000 a year, and in a lot of cases, it's even more. A restorative justice process, usually under $5,000 per person. So here's the real question. Which system is soft on crime? And which system is smart on crime? Now, critics and concerns, there's a lot of them. Critics will say restorative justice doesn't work for serious crimes, but it does. It places that try it. Oh, they'll say victims won't want it. But when given the choice, victims overwhelmingly say yes. Oh, they'll say implementation isn't consistent. Yes, because we haven't implemented it consistently. These criticisms don't point to a flawed model, they point to a flawed commitment. And that's why we have to create a blueprint for national reform. So, how do we bring restorative justice to scale in America? Well, we start with federal standards, state legislation, professional facilitator certification, stable funding, and partnerships with indigenous and community leaders. But justice reform cannot stop at the courthouse. It must begin in our classrooms as well. So, what does restorative justice look like in schools? Well, right now, we have a very tragic and familiar pattern. A child makes a mistake, they're suspended, they fall behind, they disengage, they're punished further, and eventually the justice system becomes their inevitable destination. This is what we call the school to prison pipeline. Restorative justice practices break that pipeline. How? Well, by addressing conflict early, by teaching communication skills, by building relationships, and repairing harm instead of excluding kids. Schools using restorative justice programs see fewer suspensions, stronger communities, and better academic outcomes overall. It's prevention, not reaction. You see the pattern. Now, this is the future that we deserve. Imagine an America where kids learn conflict resolution instead of punishment, where victims receive answers instead of silence, where offenders grow instead of deteriorate, and where communities become stronger after harm, not weaker. And know this, restorative justice isn't a fringe idea. It's a path forward, one proven across the world and ready for the United States. The question isn't whether restorative justice works. The question is whether we're willing to choose a justice system built not on fear, but on dignity, not on destruction, but on restoration, not on punishment, but on possibility. Thank you.